Hello YouTube, this is Andre from the Swell Dudes Fish Tanks, and I'm going to talk about this tank today. This morning I came here to check on the tank, because I didn't get a chance to do that all week. I lifted up the lid, and you can instantly see that the flow from the filter is almost none, and that's because I have to clean the intake sponge. But if you look closer, you'll see that there are these white specks floating on top of the water. Now, that's very worrying to me because I try to avoid having pests in my tanks, so I have no clue where that could have come from. So I started investigating. I pulled out my microscope and I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at it with the ×4 lens, so together with the objective lens, that's 40 times magnification. Now, I really hope you appreciate this effort to film it, because filming with the microscope is really difficult. There we go. So you can see right now I drastically reduced the brightness. When I reduce the brightness like this, you can see the eggs. Well, I'm assuming those are eggs. You can see. Oh man, this is gonna suck. So, yeah, those yellowish, pearly things, those are probably eggs. And you can see they're connected to a sort of clear, white skeletal structure. If I increase the brightness, you can see that the eggs become darker, but you can make out the skeletal structure a lot better. I apologize for the poor quality of video, but this is worrying to me. Okay, you can see the eggs are connected to the skeletal structure via these white things. They kind of look like worms or tentacles. You can see them connecting the eggs to the skeletal structure. See, I'm focusing in on them right here. So this is worrying to me. I don't know what this is. It is cool to look at it under my microscope. One possible explanation for what these eggs are is, well, they're definitely not snail eggs. There are two species of snail in this tank. There are these ram's horn snails, and there are mystery snails such as that one. And both of their eggs look different from these. They're both laid underwater, and they just look completely different from these that are on the surface of the water. So this is something new, and it's doesn't look good. You can see that there's a spider right there. You see him on the side of the tubing right there. Maybe those are spider eggs. If those are spider eggs, then I'd be happy. I like spiders, and I know that they're not harmful. I really hope that it's not some sort of pest, because it's possible that it is. You can see right there, that's an example of mystery snail eggs. So you can see that they're completely different from those. And ram's horn snail eggs are like a lot smaller. They're actually about the same size as that, but they're a different color and they're in more like globular form and they're underwater. The reason I'm, if that's some sort of parasite, like it could have easily flown in through the screen here. Something small, some small insect or that came in. I'm sure there are parasites that are small enough to fly through this mesh, window screen mesh on a current of wind. I don't know. So I'm hoping that those are spider eggs, because if they're not spider eggs, then I might be in trouble. If they are spider eggs, then that's actually pretty cool. I need some more spiders in here. It'd be cool to see them hatch. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna carefully go through and remove all of them from the surface of the tank, from the fish tank, and then I'll put them into separate petri dishes to get them out of the tank, just in case it is something bad, and to be able to watch them closely when they hatch to see what they are exactly. I gotta get an adapter for filming, a microscope. There's an adapter where you can attach it to your lens, and you attach your phone to it, and it keeps it at a fixed distance, makes the videos much higher quality. But you can get an idea from this. What's interesting is how the brightness affects how you're looking at it. So here I've lowered the brightness as much as it goes. Here I'm increasing it. You can see everything is washed out. It becomes dark, and you can see the harder, less transparent structures better. You try moving this. This is a really poor quality video. Just focusing on that right there. So you can see there's some sort of kind of cage-like structure that's probably hard, and it's that to which see, when I decrease the brightness, you can make out the eggs a lot better, because they're a light color and they almost fluoresce under just like ordinary light. Under weak light, they glow a bit. Maybe glow is a strong word. And they're connected to that rigid skeletal structure by that white portion. It's very interesting. If anyone knows, can tell me with any certainty what sort of eggs these are, let me know. You can see now that I've lowered the brightness all the way that the hard skeletal structures are darker. They're at the left and top. They're kind of two structures, and they're shiny, so that's interesting. Right now it looks as if those might be two wings, but I'm not sure. Maybe this is some sort of fly. Maybe this is a fungus gnat. I've been having fungus gnats for the past couple of months in my plant pots. Maybe they've decided to, put eggs on top of the water. I don't know. I'm thinking my best guess is that these are spider eggs from that spider that's nearby on that return pipe from the canister filter. But we'll see. It was cool to look at this anyway. I hope it's not harmful. Alright. Okay. So you can see that this pothos, the thing I really wanted to talk about is the pothos and my dilemma with it. So this pothos actually goes all the way here, rests on there. There's so many like branches off of it, like it's going everywhere. Pretty soon it's going to start falling all over the edge of this tank, so I'm going to have to, growing over the edge of this tank, and it can't obstruct the view, so I have to kind of hang it up like that from the ceiling, which is really good for hanging things from it, and just tie a piece of fishing line around there, super easy. Yeah. The thing that I'm not sure about is the amount of roots in this tank. This tank is being absolutely dominated by this pothos. Just look at those roots. Just really big, huge roots bearing into the substrate all throughout the water column. And they're starting to impede the fish from swimming, especially my rainbow right over there. So, I don't know. I kind of want to leave it like this, but then I'd have to at least trim all these plants and these ones and maybe replant them in the back and in different tanks, but just so that I can free up more space so that the bottom dwelling fish can have more space to swim. Also, I need to get a larger intake sponge because that intake sponge gets blocked every 1 to 2 weeks, like to that extent, where the filter's basically not working or working very slowly. So I have to take it out, squeeze it into in a bucket of water, get all that muck out of there every single week. So if I had a larger intake sponge, maybe 5 times larger than that, it would be more beneficial. It would house more nitrifying and dendrifying bacteria, but it would also, I'd have to clean it less frequently, which is a bonus. So I definitely have to get a larger intake sponge. But that's going to be during the summer. I'm going to be cleaning this thing on a weekly basis until then. You can see here, I took out some mystery snail eggs from this tank, and what I did is I crushed them because I was interested in the texture. Once they dried out, I crushed them almost like they were really rigid. I'm guessing that about half of this, if not more, is just calcium carbonate, just chalk. Well, actually, it's probably similar to what our bones are made out of. It's not just calcium carbonate, it's calcium carbonate with phosphate in it. I forget what that mineral is called. But yeah, I could just powder this back into the tank to give the calcium back to the snails. You can see I give them calcium by putting in sand. I bought this play sand, which is really rich in limestone. So this is after I rinsed it. So I rinsed it to get like the larger chunks. And what I'll do is I'll take a bit of this, I'll sprinkle it into each of the tanks. And what this does is it adds some buffer to the water. Alright. So you can see there's some more of it there now. So the reason I found out, I actually bought this play sand to use in a fish tank, just like as a substrate completely. But what I found out is it's impossible to use with fish basically, or at least most fish, because it makes the water super alkaline. Like I add any like acid to it and instantly starts bubbling profusely, furiously. Not profuse, furiously. Yeah, so I just, once I figured that out, good thing I figured that out before I tried just putting in the tank and adding fish to it. But, you know, the bag did say not for aquarium use. It's just that most times when bags of sand say that, you actually can use it. Like this sand, the bag of sand with this just pool filter sand, it said not for aquarium use. You know, I've been using it for, I think, almost 4 years now. Yeah, or almost 3 years. I gotta check back in my fish tank journal. Journals at this point. See, the fish are curious. They want to be fed. I've been feeding them less this week just because I don't want to exacerbate the existing problem with the filter. So I'm gonna do a water change, clean the filter, and feed them right now. You know, after I get all those eggs out. Yep, that's about it.